What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. Tonight, we got a surprise live stream. It's a little bit impromptu. I decided as I'm sitting here waiting for the first episode of Hard Knocks to release tonight, I decided why not hop on here and do another Underdog Fantasy draft for you guys live. So hopefully you guys are excited about that. Hopefully, you guys will kick it with me and hang out with me until it's time for the Hard Knocks episode to drop. But let's not waste any more time, man. We are going to get into one of these underdog drafts. And what we're doing tonight is we're actually going to take the zero RB approach and draft our team that way. So let me share my screen with you guys right here. Get that all figured out. And let's actually adjust that like that. So we are all good, ready to go. And like I said, man, yeah, we're going to be doing the zero RB approach. So you see in the thumbnail, we got Jalen Waddle and AJ Brown. So we're going to be taking some stud wide receivers. I even got the Dolphins lights in the background. So maybe that's something to come. Maybe a Tyreek Hill, maybe a Jalen Waddle on this team. But we are going to be drafting from, it's going to let us know here in just a second, we are going to be drafting from the 2 slot. Ooh, so even better. We are going to start off this build with a Justin Jefferson or a Jamar Chase, which is going to be even better for this team. So very excited about that. If you guys are tapped into the content, I appreciate you guys being here. I'm going to throw some just chill music on in the background. We're just here to kick it, hang out tonight. Nothing serious, nothing crazy. So hopefully you guys are along for the ride. These tend to be, between 30 and an hour most times, depending on how fast the other people draft with us. So hopefully you guys are excited for that, ready to go. And I do want to let you guys know, hopefully you guys are tapped into the content regularly. If not, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, do all the good stuff, because we are posting content on here all the time. And actually what we are doing tomorrow on our Let's Talk Dynasty podcast, we're going to be doing the first of a 4-part series for the show, and it is going to be an AFC and an NFC North preview. So we are going to be talking about those divisions and giving our fantasy football analysis on all of those players, on all of those teams. And that'll be the first of a 4-part series here. So fun things coming, really, man. We're getting so close to this season, and I'm so excited. I hope you guys are excited as well. And you see we're on the clock, actually. We're going to take Jamar Chase. We almost blew that one right away, guys, right? But Jamar Chase is who we wanted. So you see the Bengals on the thumbnail that I just showed you? Yeah, we're going to get a Bengal here today too. So, yeah, man. Hopefully you guys are excited for Hard Knocks. I know I am. I know that the Green Bay, or not the Green Bay Packers. See, look, this is me talking about it as a guy who hasn't liked Aaron Rodgers for many years, as you can tell with the jerseys in the background. But the New York Jets are on Hard Knocks, and I know they are not very excited about it. Rumor around the NFL was that they actually did not want to be a part of it, but they ended up having to do it anyway. So hopefully some good things to come on that one as well. Get to see a little bit of Garrett Wilson, some Breece Hall. I don't know if it's whether it's going to be on this episode or not, but there's even some Dalvin Cook on there because he went and visited with the Jets as well. So, yeah, man, I'm excited to see how it goes, and just really excited for the NFL season as a whole. So Justin Jefferson comes off the board, guys, as the wide receiver 1 in this draft, followed by our pick with Jamar Chase, and then Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, Christian McCaffrey, Travis Kelce, and then Bijan Robinson. So we have been doing mock draft Mondays, and I really do treat these underdog fantasy drafts as mock drafts for my regular leagues. So I'll hop in here. You can do any type of draft between $3 or all the way up to like $1,000 buy-in. But really, if you want to treat them as mock drafts like I do, just go in there and hop in those 12-person drafts for $3 a piece. You could do 10, 15, 20 of them before the season starts and get a good idea of the landscape, the good ADPs, all of that stuff like that. So I have said it on the show before. Historically, best ball ADPs tend to be some of the sharpest ADPs that you can use. And so that is why I use them for my mock draft purposes. And I just enjoy, being in a bunch of these leagues in general. Underdog Fantasy has a bunch of tournaments and things like that you can be a part of and you can play in. And they're low maintenance to no maintenance. I mean, you got to spend time drafting the team, but after that, it's set it and forget it. And then hopefully you cash in some money at the end of the year. So not promoted by Underdog by any means. If Underdog wants to throw us a little promotional code to help these people get onto Underdog Fantasy, let me know. I've been reaching out to them. Maybe they'll let us do it. But other than that, man, just trying to think about what else has been going on in the NFL. Kareem Hunt has made some news today. He went and visited with the Saints, and then apparently some reports were that the Saints had a done deal with Kareem, and he ended up getting a call from the Colts, and he left the building, and I guess it's not a done deal anymore because the Colts are offering him some more money and things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But let's get back to this draft real quick, because right after Travis Kelce and Bijan, it was Stephon Diggs, Austin Eckler, A.J. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley, Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Adams, Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave, Pat Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and then let's see who else it is, because we're up in 2 picks, and we are more than okay going with a Devontae Smith or a Calvin Ridley, depending, or even a DK Metcalf, depending on who's there. But for our 0 RB build, we want to grab 2 or even 3 wide receivers early on, because we are going to be punting that running back position. So let's see who we end up getting. Tony Pollard off the board. So Devontae Smith off the board. We're going to end up going Calvin Ridley. He's being coming off the board as wide receiver 15 in Underdog drafts, and we're going to hope that we can actually even get DK to pair with him. But the reason why we ended up going with Calvin Ridley first is because DK Metcalf and a guy that I've been drafting all offseason, Amari Cooper, they have the same bye weeks. So if if we didn't want to double up on those bye weeks. That's really what I was trying to get at there. It's late, man. I've just been kicking it, so bear with me. But we don't want to match the bye weeks. And we might even end up looking at like a Mark Andrews too, because I wouldn't mind getting a difference maker at the tight end position, because we do tend to typically punt the tight end position in these leagues. But it looks like we're probably not going to do it with this one, because we do have DK Metcalf on the board. So DK, yeah, that's our pick. And we're going to start off our team with Jamar Chase, Calvin Ridley, and DK Metcalf. So we feel very, very good about that as a 0 RB build. I do want to mention as well, guys, if you enjoy talking fantasy football, Dynasty fantasy football, or really anything NFL, go ahead and join our free Discord. Our Discord is going to be linked in the description of this video. It is also going to be in the YouTube banner. So go and find that link, join that Discord. It's free to join, doesn't cost you anything, but there's a bunch of people in there that like to talk fantasy football and NFL, and it's a cool place to hang out, cool place to, just chat. And really, the Discord is where I am pulling a lot of the stuff when I ask for subscriber or Discord member submitted stuff. Like I just finished recording a Dynasty trade review show. So if you wanted to get your trades reviewed by me on a video and really hear my thoughts and hear my opinions on those trades, you would submit those directly in our Discord, and that's what I did today. So I'm looking for more trades to review here soon. We do that about bi-weekly, so make sure you go join that Discord and submit those trades. And we're also doing a Q&A in there as well, so people are submitting questions, and we're going to be answering those in a video here at the end of the week. So make sure you go do that as well if you want me to answer any of your fantasy football or NFL questions. Now, with all that promotion out of the way, I know that's not what you guys are here for. You guys are here to talk some fantasy football. We do have Josh Allen, who came off the board after us with the DK Metcalf pick. Then T. Higgins went, Deebo Samuel, Ramondre Stevenson, Keenan Allen, Lamar Jackson, Amari Cooper, Mark Andrews, Josh Jacobs, Christian Watson, DJ Moore, and then Jahmyr Gibbs. So we have pick 47 and pick 50 as our next picks. We really wouldn't mind getting not an Aaron Jones, a TJ Hawkinson with one of these picks. And I also really wouldn't mind just adding another one of these wide receivers. We're probably going to punt the running back position until we get into the dead zone, which this year the dead zone is, you're kind of looking at it, right? It's going to be these guys right here, really from like the Alexander Madisons to the James Cooks, Dalvin Cooks. That's kind of the dead zone this year. So we're probably not going to look at our first one until we get down to that point. And that's just the way that's going to go for us. But after Jahmyr Gibbs, Travis Etienne comes off the board, Justin Fields, Jerry Jeudy, and Mike Williams. And we're up in 4 picks. So we will see how that goes. Najee Harris off the board. Brandon Ayuk. And looks like we're going to get pretty close to where we're going to be able to pick here. Breece Hall off the board. Probably want to go Terry McLaurin. That's really what I want to do here, is go Terry and then hopefully TJ. So yeah, it looks like that's what we're going to end up doing. We're going to get Terry and then TJ Hawkinson, hopefully, as we come back around with this pick, as long as Sletch doesn't take Hawkinson. If he does take Hawkinson, we'll just go probably a Deontay Johnson. There was some news actually that came out of Buccaneers training camp today. I know it's not everybody's favorite topic of discussion when we are talking about Baker Mayfield, but apparently Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask were both listed as co-starters on the official depth chart for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. It's probably going to come down to preseason play, but I thought for sure that Baker was going to end up getting the starting job, and it's worrisome. I've been a Baker fan, and I think really at the end of the day, man, if Kyle Trask is pushing you as a starter for your team, we've seen enough Baker Mayfield at this point that maybe if Trask is pushing you, maybe it's time to just let Trask get the starting job, and let's see what he can do, and let's see what he is, because we don't really know what he is. I know they drafted him to be the successor to Tom Brady, and then they get Baker Mayfield and put him in a competition. Well, I think maybe it's just time to see what Kyle Trask is. Hate to write off Baker Mayfield, but the reality is if Kyle Trask is the one pushing you as the starter, maybe you're just not an NFL starter anymore, man. Maybe that's just the reality of the situation. And what I'm curious to see is who actually do we prefer for fantasy football? They have receiving options there, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans specifically, and even a Rachaad White that some people are pretty high on. And do we prefer Kyle Trask? Do we prefer Baker Mayfield? I feel pretty indifferent. I feel like it's probably going to be the same no matter who is the starter, but it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. That's probably something that we're monitoring and watching as the NFL preseason progresses. And another thing that we're watching and another thing that we're progressing or seeing progress is the J.K. Dobbins situation / drama there in Baltimore. Dobbins has not been reporting to practice, and there's rumors that it's an injury, or there's rumors that it's a holdout for a contract, because he was not very shy about asking for a contract extension earlier this offseason. Harbaugh is telling reporters that the ball is in Dobbins' court and he expects JK to be back soon. So that's something to monitor, especially for teams that, like us in this draft right here, if you're punting the running back position and you're looking for upside later J.K. Dobbins does possess some pretty good upside, man. When he's healthy, he's pretty good for fantasy football. That's just the reality of the situation. And with this situation looming, you hope that it won't affect him as the season progresses. And we've seen that across the NFL all season or all off season long. We've seen the Jonathan Taylor situation, the Josh Jacobs situation, the Saquon Barkley situation. I mean, it's been a situation for everybody for the most part. And I apologize, I didn't have that draft board up as I was talking. So hopefully you guys were able to follow along. I know it's easier to follow along when you have the draft board up. And maybe that's a cue for me to stop talking and recap kind of what's been going on. Because after we picked Terry McLaurin, it was DeAndre Hopkins and Justin Herbert. And then we went TJ Hawkinson. And then it was Aaron Jones, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Christian Kirk, Miles Sanders, Kenneth Walker, Chris Godwin, Deontay Johnson, George Kittle, Damian Pierce, George Pickens, Trevor Lawrence, Cam Akers, Jackson Smith-Njigba, J.K. Dobbins, Speak of the Devil, Tyler Lockett, and then Hollywood Brown. So we're up in a few picks. We are likely probably one more difference maker away from starting to dive into this running back position. And I think what we'll end up doing is we'll probably end up drafting. We probably will end up drafting one of our, maybe even two of our running backs right here. It just depends. There's a couple bye weeks with these wide receivers that I don't like. I mean, we don't have anybody week 13, so maybe we'll shoot the upside of a Jordan Addison because I do think Jordan Addison can be pretty good this season, stepping into that wide receiver 2 role there in Minnesota. Assuming that he can beat out KJ Osborne, I think he can. Maybe not early on, but Addison has the talent to do so. So hopefully that is the role that he's going to be stepping into, is the Adam Thielen role. And obviously a lot more athletic and a lot more versatile than an Adam Thielen was. As good as Adam Thielen was for the Minnesota Vikings, it's brighter days with Jordan Addison there playing the wide receiver 2 position, in my opinion, especially opposite Justin Jefferson. So we'll add Jordan Addison there. He's a higher upside. And man, that's who I wanted, was Rachaad White to be our running back in this build. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to end up taking a James Conner as our number 1 running back in this 0 RB build. Health is going to be the concern with James Conner. It's the age and obviously the health that comes along with it and the health history of James Conner. But look, man, when it comes to running backs and the 0 RB builds, I'm just going to pull up some stats for you guys, because James Conner has been really good when healthy. And from a fantasy points per game standpoint, in 2022, he was number 9 overall, averaging 15.4 fantasy points per game. And in 2021, he was number 7 overall, so averaged 17.2 points per game. So it's always been availability that is the concern with James Conner. But when he's been on the field, man, he's been really good from a fantasy points per game standpoint. And we know with Kyler Murray out to begin the season, they are going to have to lean on a guy like James Conner. Maybe he's not going to be able to get up to that, 18 touchdowns that he had in 21, but 2022 last year, he had 8 total touchdowns and still was top 10 from a fantasy points per game standpoint. So they're going to use him. They're going to utilize him. It's just a matter of, can he stay healthy? That's really the thing with James Conner. But when you're in a 0 RB build and you're diving deep at this position and you're looking at guys who can make a difference, getting a guy who's been top 7 and top 9 over the last 2 years, let's just say top 10 overall from a fantasy points per game standpoint in round, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's in the 7th round that can put up RB1 numbers when he's healthy. Yeah, man, I'm more than happy to take that as a 0 RB build. So definitely something to be excited about for this build. And you see, since that pick for us, Kyle Pitts comes off the board, Jahan Dotson, Dallas Goedert, DeAndre Swift, David Montgomery, Zay Flowers, Alvin Kamara, Gabe Davis, Javonte Williams, James Cook, Cortland Sutton, Quentin Johnson, and then Deshaun Watson. So, yeah, man, let's keep looking at some of the stuff that we can talk about, because another guy that we probably are going to be targeting in this draft in our 0 RB builds that's getting some buzz lately is Tank Bigsby. And Jaguars head coach Doug Peterson complimented Bigsby's pass catching ability, said that he is is an even better pass catcher than he actually is a running back, which is interesting because he wasn't really utilized as a pass catcher at the college level. But it makes you wonder, how much is Bigsby going to eat into this overall opportunity from Travis Etienne? Is Bigsby going to be a pass catching back now? Is he going to take some of the receptions away from Etienne? And then can he take away goal line stuff? Because he just profiles as a little bit better of a goal line back. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Bigsby. I like the tape. I like what I see. We know Doug Peterson likes the RBBC route. He's always done it. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Tank Bigsby, but I'm a fan and I'm excited to see what happens this year. But if you have Travis Etienne, I'm sure you're not ecstatic about that type of news. And so since Watson comes off the board, it's Burks, Tagovailoa, Elijah Moore, Brandon Cooks, Rashad Bateman, and Sky Moore. And we're coming up right here. And Isaiah Pacheco comes off the board. That's okay. We were going to be a little eager to draft him, but we'll go Dalvin Cook, and we're going to say, he's likely to land with the Jets or the Dolphins. Still, in my opinion, it's going to be one of those two teams. So that's a week 7 bye week or a week 10. So that's fine. That's not going to conflict with James Conner. And as we get back around, we're going to hope that we can land either an Antonio Gibson or a Brian Robinson. And actually, we probably shouldn't do that because we have James Conner. So we'll probably look for an A.J. Dillon and hope we can add him to this roster there. Michael Thomas off the board and Odell Beckham. Flashback to 2018. And we are going to draft A.J. Dillon here. Even though I don't like the value of A.J. Dillon this year, we do know that he is a Aaron Jones injury away. That's really what he is, from being utilized pretty heavily in that offense. But I think we've seen enough to know that he's not super valuable with Aaron Jones on the field. I mean, when you go back and you look at, just how we were talking about James Conner, and you look at A.J. Dillon from a fantasy points per game standpoint, when he's healthy, he's about 9.9 fantasy points per game, and his best year being 2021, where he was 10.9, and it's barely cracking the top 30. So he's pretty much an RB3 for your rosters, and that's what he's going to be on our roster. And hopefully he has some weeks where he has some spikes for touchdowns and maybe some reception numbers. And if there is an Aaron Jones injury, obviously we don't want to wish injury on anybody, but if there is an Aaron Jones injury, we might find ourselves a lead back there in the 9th round. So following Dillon was Kadarius Toney, Jamison Williams, Tyler Boyd, Brian Robinson, David Njoku, and Antonio Gibson. So that is going to kind of be the way that this draft is shaken out. Ingram coming off the board too, and Anthony Richardson. And then I was talking about it earlier, but the Jonathan Taylor stuff, man, he's still not participating at training camp. He's saying it's due to an ankle injury. I think I know, Jonathan Taylor knows, and Jim Irsay knows. They all know that that's bullshit. He's not practicing because of the ankle injury. He's practicing or not practicing because he wants some money, man. That's the reality of the situation. Is he wants to be paid. He demanded the trade, and Irsay said, yeah, we're not trading you, bud. And there was a whole bunch of threats back and forth. And at the end of the day, now he's not practicing because of an ankle injury. I think we know what that is, man. There's not a lot to it. You just hope that there's not going to be a situation where he ends up holding out the whole season and makes it, a big ordeal for fantasy football and for the NFL in general. Obviously, we want to see Jonathan Taylor play football. The NFL is more fun when the stars are on the field playing, not holding out because of contract situations, not on the sideline because of injuries. It's just more fun to watch the best players in the NFL play. And we want Jonathan Taylor on the field this year. So hopefully that is something that we're going to get to see. And just coming back to this draft board, man, after Anthony Richardson, we had a little bit of a quarterback run. Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, and then Zach Charbonnet, Alan Lazard, Rashad Penny, Khalil Herbert, Pat Freiermuth, Geno Smith, and Juju Smith-Schuster, and Jacoby Myers. So we're up in a couple picks. I am already going to be looking at a probably a Damian Harris to keep adding to our running back room. And I want to look for, some quarterbacks to stack. Obviously, Geno's off the board. T-Law's off the board. Burrow's off the board. Maybe a Howell later. And then Kirk Cousins is off the board too. So likely nothing that we're going to get that we want. But we'll get a Damian Harris off the board here. Again, an injury away, or maybe he's the goal line back in an offense that's going to score a lot of points. And then I think what we're going to do is we're going to take our first quarterback here probably, and we will go with either a Daniel Jones or an Aaron Rodgers. And I'm likely going to go with a Daniel Jones. It's risky. It's riskier than Aaron Rodgers, right? But this is 4-point passing touchdowns, and Daniel Jones has rushing upside that Aaron Rodgers doesn't. And that's just going to score more fantasy football points as those rushing yards. So we're going to go Daniel Jones, hopefully pair him with another quarterback later that we feel pretty comfortable about. So let's kind of recap where we're at with our draft so far. At quarterback, we have Daniel Jones. Running backs, James Conner, Dalvin Cook, A.J. Dillon, Damian Harris. Our wide receiver, which is going to be our strongest position because we went 0 RB, is Jamar Chase, Calvin Ridley, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, and Jordan Addison. And then we have a TJ Hawkinson as well, which is a very strong tight end for us. So we are 18 picks away. We are now into the back half of the draft, just a little over into the back half of the draft. We have rounds 12 through 18, so 7 more picks left for us. And then we will be out of here. You got to say one or two. One of them is on a backup quarterback. One of them is on a backup tight end. And then the other 5 are going to be used accordingly. Probably 2 wide receivers and 3 running backs is probably where we will use it. But obviously we will be drafting best player available no matter what. And so let's just, recap after Damian Harris, Nico Collins, Jerick McKinnon. We take Daniel Jones, and then Romeo Doubs, Dalton Kincaid, Elijah Mitchell, Darnell Mooney, Zay Jones, and then Greg Dulcich, Aaron Rodgers. So that's where we're at. And I wanted to touch on Zach Charbonnet because we're kind of focused on the 0 RB strategy, and Charbonnet fits that mold of a guy who good draft capital, talented, can catch the football, but he's an injury away. But Zach Charbonnet has been injured himself so far in practice for the Seahawks, but it looks like he was able to get back to practice last week on Thursday after missing some time with a shoulder injury that Pete Carroll called him being out indefinitely. So it was a little interesting to see him come back so quickly after being deemed out indefinitely. So interesting to see, but Zach Charbonnet is somebody I'm watching as well. And another running back that I don't even think he's been drafted yet. I don't think so. He did get drafted right there at 125. It's Elijah Mitchell. 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan said that Mitchell is expected to miss a few days with the adductor strain. So it's training camp season. It's preseason time, and the inevitable is happening, man. Running backs are getting hurt. Players are getting hurt in general. It's just the unfortunate part of the NFL. But like I said, we want to see these guys on the field, so hopefully everybody's back and healthy soon. If you are just tapping into the stream, make sure that you go ahead and drop a like on it down below if you guys are enjoying the content, if you like watching fantasy football drafts. And if you want to talk some fantasy football in general, go join our Discord. It is free to join, linked in the description and linked in the YouTube banner. So make sure you do those things for me today, guys. And I appreciate you all taking some time to watch this video and be in here and hang out and play fantasy football with us, man, because at the end of the day, we want to win fantasy football championships. And that's what I'm here to do, is I'm here to help you guys do that. So hopefully you trust me with that, and we can build a good rapport moving forward. So you guys are confident and comfortable with me giving you that information. So I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Now let's keep looking across this board. Actually, let's recap where we're at. Dulcich, Rodgers, Jamal Williams, Jared Goff comes off the board, Tank Bigsby, Chigozie Okonkwo, Russell Wilson, Rondale Moore, Jalen Warren, Tyler Algier, Kendre Miller, Rashee Rice, and then we're up in a few picks. So we need to make sure that we get over there as quickly as we can, because we need to make sure we have our pick lined up. And it looks like a lot of wide receivers and tight ends, so we might look at that position. maybe just fill one of those out. I do like Van Jefferson. Do like Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims does have the same bye week as Ridley, but at this point it doesn't really matter. But I think what we'll do is we'll see what we can do, man. There's lots of running backs as we get later too that I'm comfortable with. The Ezekiel Elliott's, the Zamir Whites, the Gus Edwards, as we get into that tier of guys that are, just needing an injury or something. So we will take here. This is what we'll do. We'll finish off our wide receiver positions with Van Jefferson and Marvin Mims, hopefully. And if we can finish it off with Marvin Mims, we won't even need to come back to the wide receiver position for the rest of this video. We will be more than comfortable with who we got. So we'll just wait on Sletch. About 30 minutes away from Hard Knocks. I am very excited. If you can't tell, I've already talked about it in this video, but super excited for that. I'll be doing that immediately after this draft. Let's see, just looking for some more news for us to talk about here. Here's an interesting one. Just interesting news all in general coming out of Buccaneers training camp. Like I said earlier, with the Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask co-starters news. We also have the Chase Edmonds RB2 news for the Bucs. They do have Sean Tucker and Keyshawn Vaughn, and just a little surprising, I think, to see Chase Edmonds as the RB2 in that lineup. Don't think it matters. I wouldn't read too much into it. It is the team's first depth chart. Those change. I really would not expect Chase Edmonds to be that RB2 for them for the entirety of the season. Just don't expect it. Another one too that we kind of have talked about on another video earlier this week, but I talked about one of the players that I am avoiding the most in fantasy football, and I've been avoiding him like the plague. And I hope he doesn't go to Twitter to attack me. If you know, you know. But it's going to be wide receiver Kadarius Toney. I just think the value on Kadarius Toney is so poor and so bad this year, guys. And ESPN's Adam Schefter is reporting that he is expected to be ready for week 1, but if you didn't know, he hurt his knee a couple weeks ago, had a cleanup procedure on it, underwent minor surgery, and it's clockwork, man, for Kadarius Toney. I know he has the Mahomes bump, but one thing that I was kind of talking about in that video, and if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's one of the most recent videos for us, and I'll just give you a brief summary of some of the stuff that I was talking about. Is one, just he doesn't separate at the NFL level. He just is not seeing success separating at the NFL level. That's just plain and simple part of the issue with Kadarius Toney. And as this loads up, in 2021, 8.2 fantasy points per game, and then last year 6.4 fantasy points per game, and that was good for the 85th overall player. 2 receiving touchdowns. He played 20 snaps, or he ran 20 routes for the Chiefs in their playoff run last year, and saw 11 snaps total in the Super Bowl, just not being utilized. He's never been utilized as an alpha. He's never separated as an alpha. He's never, it's just not good for him, man. And so I think he's being overvalued, and he's hurt. He's not getting first team reps right now in camp, and he's not building a rapport with Patrick Mahomes. And meanwhile, second round wide receivers that they drafted last year and this year, Sky Moore and Rashee Rice, they're getting reps. MVS is getting reps. Justin Ross, a stud out of Clemson, who obviously went undrafted and has had some worries about the injury and the longevity of what he can do in an NFL career because of the worries of those injuries. But he's a freak, and he's been a freak, and he was a freak at Clemson, and all of these guys are getting reps, and Toney isn't. So it's definitely worrisome for Kadarius Toney. And again, there I go talking on and on without the draft board being on the thing, so I hope you guys understand. But after Marvin Mims and after we picked Cole Kmet, Jonathan Mingo, Dalton Schultz, Sam Laporta, Derek Carr, DJ Shark, Taysom Hill, Adam Thielen, KJ Osborne, Alec Pierce, Isaiah Hodgins, Hayden Hurst, MVS, Justin Ross, 2 of those Chiefs wide receivers that we were talking about, Bryce Young, Rashid Shaheed, and Kyler Murray off the board. So as we get down here, we're obviously going to want to kind of look at a backup tight end. We're going to want to look at a backup quarterback, but I'm more likely going to want to go for our backup quarterback first because I trust TJ Hawkinson more than I trust Daniel Jones. Really wouldn't mind getting Pickett or Purdy as we get down here. And the tight ends are just getting a little bit worse. We may end up having to punt that a little bit more down the road. But we're going to go with one of them. And we're also going to take one of these running backs. And I probably will go with Devin Singletary. Might even go an Ezekiel Elliott if he's there. But hopefully this guy doesn't go Singletary, because that is our number one priority right now, is Devin Singletary for the new Houston Texans. That's his new team there. So he doesn't go him. We will take him. That's a Dameon Pierce injury away, and maybe even has a role. I don't know, but Dameon Pierce injury away most likely. And then as we come back around, obviously we will take Purdy or Pickett to be our backup quarterback. And I'm more likely to go Pickett, honestly. I think Purdy and Pickett have similar ceilings. Purdy probably has the better offense, but I think there's less concerns injury-wise with Pickett. I know Purdy has been practicing and stuff, but I don't know, man. That UCL surgery is scary a little bit. So we are going to go Kenny Pickett. I think, yep, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go Kenny Pickett right here. Just wanted to make sure there's no other quarterbacks that I didn't want or that I wanted as we got later. So Daniel Jones and Kenny Pickett. I know some of you might have just vomited. I'm sorry in advance, but that's just the reality of the situation for our quarterback position there. So let's recap where we're at. We're going to take Purdy off of this queue because we don't need a quarterback again in this draft. We have Daniel Jones, Kenny Pickett, James Conner, Dalvin Cook, A.J. Dillon, Damian Harris, Devin Singletary, Jamar Chase, Calvin Ridley, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Jordan Addison, Van Jefferson, Marvin Mims, and TJ Hawkinson. So this is what we're looking like for the rest of the draft. We need running backs and one tight end. And we have 3 picks left to go. So 2 running backs and a tight end. That's where we're at. We'll probably take the tight end with the next pick. So after our Singletary pick, it was Kenneth Gainwell and John Mechie. And then after Kenny Pickett was CJ Stroud, Jerome Ford, Jalen Hyatt, and then Brock Purdy. So that's kind of how that has went so far. More news in the NFL today too is that the Lions signed quarterback Teddy Bridgewater. So nothing alarming. I saw there was some minor panic for people who roster Hendon Hooker in Dynasty fantasy football leagues, but I would not be worried. Hendon Hooker is coming off of that injury. He may just not be as ready as they thought he was, and they need another guy to be in here and throw some footballs during camp and maybe take some reps in the preseason. But Teddy Bridgewater, he is what he is at this point. He's a good backup at the NFL level, but that is Hendon Hooker's backup job. I really don't think he can push. I don't think he can push Goff for the starter, but crazier things have happened. But I would not be worried about Teddy Bridgewater if I was rostering Hendon Hooker in my Dynasty fantasy football leagues. So after Brock Purdy comes off the board there at 174, Curtis Samuel, Tajay Spears, Raheem Mostert, Irv Smith, Jeff Wilson, Ryan Tannehill, Juwan Johnson, Chuba Hubbard, and Ezekiel Elliott. And we're getting closer and closer to these preseason games. I know we had the Hall of Fame game, but we have some real preseason games. I say real. The Hall of Fame game is a real preseason game, but it's that extra game that a lot of these teams don't want to play. I know we got to see some Zach Wilson. We saw some Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Dorian Thompson looked great, man. He looked electric. Everything that he did at UCLA, he showed in that first game. So it'll be interesting to see if he keeps that up. Could very, very easily push Kellen Mond and take over that QB2 role and end up being the direct backup to Deshaun Watson. But we got some games on Thursday, man. My Minnesota Vikings, they will play on Thursday. The Seahawks play on Thursday. So hopefully we get to see a little bit of Jordan Addison, a little bit of Jackson Smith and Jigba, some Jaron Hall, some of these rookie running backs that were drafted. Maybe Charbonnet will get to play. Kenny McIntosh can play. Dwayne McBride, Ty Chandler, a couple other guys, man. I'm excited to see what happens out of this preseason game, and excited to just get that much closer to some NFL football, man. So after Ezekiel Elliott goes Mike Gesicki, Devontae Parker, Dawson Knox, Hunter Renfrow, Jaden Reed. And we are getting pretty slim at the tight end position, but I think what I'm going to end up doing... What's going on with Trey McBride? Back on the field. I don't mind Trey McBride. Man, we just had Conklin come off the board too. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take Gus Edwards. We were talking about J.K. Dobbins holding out. If he continues to do this, man, if he continues to make that decision, Gus Edwards could see some snaps. So we'll take Gus Edwards. I know he has the same bye week as Damian Harris, but that's okay. And then we're probably going to end up punting that tight end 2 position late, guys. It's probably going to be just what happens. We're going to have to lean on TJ Hawkinson. If Hawkinson gets an injury later this year, we'll be screwed if we end up pushing the position. But I just don't see a lot on the board that we love. Maybe I go with Trey McBride right here, or an Isaiah Likely, maybe a Jake Ferguson. But it's just, there's not a lot of good going on here at the tight end position. We probably should have took one round ago. But even then, I think Kenny Pickett was more important than, falling on a Jimmy Garoppolo or a Desmond Ridder. Maybe not. I guess it depends, but we're going to end up taking right here. Should we go? Hey, we're going to pick up Clyde Edwards-Helaire, guys, for the Kansas City Chiefs. He was good in spurts last year before he got hurt. I'm just going to share some numbers here with you. It's nothing sexy. Nobody's going to, write home about drafting Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the 17th round, but I promise you, there are worse things that could happen. Last year, weeks 1 through 5, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was number 6 in fantasy points, number 8, 14, 9, and then he fell off actually in week 5, and that's where it's 46. Couple more games where he was not very good, and then the injury. So there was a spurt there where he was good. It seems like the Chiefs like to get everybody involved, and you never know when it's happening. But he could be an injury away. At this point, I think we know that he's not the starter. That looks like it's Isaiah Pacheco's job, and McKinnon probably looks to be the lead pass-catching back. But if there's an injury to McKinnon or an injury to Pacheco, there's a chance that Clyde Edwards-Helaire could find himself into a role as well, and that's a very high-scoring offense. So if he gets some goal line work or things like that, like he was getting at the beginning of last year, because he scored 5 touchdowns in the first 4 weeks, maybe there's some upside there in a 0 RB build. I don't know. But definitely, more than anything, we need to make sure that we are going to grab our tight end with this next pick. So after our Clyde Edwards-Helaire pick, we had Chase Brown, Darius Slayton, Kareem Hunt, who, like I said earlier, maybe a Saint, maybe a Colt, maybe not. But that looks like where it's trending right now. Michael Mayer, which I would have loved to see that, but I think he shares the same bye week as Hawkinson, Shakir, Ferguson, Fournette, Sam Howell, Mecole Hardman, Desmond Ridder, Luke Musgrave, Tyquan Thornton, Cordero Patterson, Chase Claypool, Deion Jackson. And we are slowly but surely approaching our final pick, and it's going to be a tight end, and it cannot be a bye week 13. So McBride, Hunter Henry, maybe a Noah Fant. That looks like where we're at with this pick here. So it probably is actually going to be in that order for me too. McBride, Henry, Fant. McBride last year, actually, when he did get some starting reps, we know it came late, and Zach Ertz is still there. So don't get me wrong. That's still a situation that could happen for Trey McBride. But last year, let me just pull up the game log. Week 17, I know it's at the very end there, but week 17, he got all of the snaps, 95% of the snaps, and he was the tight end 2 on the week. So McBride is something that could be interesting. And obviously, as I'm explaining all of that, Trey McBride comes off the board, someone like Davis off the board, Baker Mayfield off the board, and it's very quickly looking like it's going to turn into the Hunter Henry or the Noah Fant pick for us. And I lean Hunter Henry over Noah Fant, and the only reason why I lean Hunter Henry over Noah Fant is because Noah Fant has DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Tyler Lockett, and a heavy run game around him. Hunter Henry, it's not much better. It doesn't look that much better in general, he just got added competition from Mike Gesicki, but it's hard to really say that outside of Juju Smith-Schuster, and of course Hunter Henry comes off the board, and that's just the reality of these drafts, guys. So I guess as I downplay Noah Fant, he's going to be our backup tight end, which is a little scary. Again, like I said, TJ Hawkinson comes off the board, or if he gets hurt and we're relying on Noah Fant every week, that gets very grim and very dark very quickly. But let's just look at this team, man. I want to pull it up and talk about it, because what we did do here today is we did take the 0 RB approach, and we were looking to stack up on the wide receivers early and make a difference at the wide receiver and the tight end position. So we ended up getting our quarterbacks as Daniel Jones, Kenny Pickett, James Conner, Dalvin Cook, AJ Dillon, Damian Harris, Devin Singletary, Gus Edwards, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire is our running back room. And then Jamar Chase, Calvin Ridley, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Jordan Addison, Van Jefferson, and Marvin Mims in the wide receiver room, and TJ Hawkinson and Noah Fant. So that is our draft. That is what we ended up getting. And I don't know. Let me hear your guys' thoughts down below. Like I said, I hop into these and we like trying different strategies and trying different things, treat them as mock drafts. And that's what we did today. So if you do like the team, let me know in the comments below. If you don't, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you would do different. Let me know what you would change. And at the end of the day, man, let's keep getting better at fantasy football, and let's work our way to winning some Dynasty fantasy football and some other just redraft, keeper, best ball, whatever fantasy football championships in 2023. So hopefully I'm here along the way to help you guys. If you enjoy the content, like this video, like the stream, comment, subscribe, join the Discord. I will see you guys on the next video. I don't have anything else for you. Peace out.